Good afternoon, Keith Tebow from FRCmedia. Thank you for joining us. It's been a while since we've checked in with the local business scene here on the South Coast and in Fall River. Please be joined by the co-CEOs of the One South Coast Chamber. You've seen them quite often over the past few years, Rick Kidder and Michael O'Sullivan. Gentlemen, how are you?
Doing well, Keith. It's good to see you.
Good.
Doing great, Keith. Can't wait to see you in studio.
Yeah, well, we will do that soon. We should probably talk about that coming up. Rick, let me start with you.
Yeah.
When we were talking almost on a weekly basis when COVID began, the businesses were hit hard on the South Coast. Some of them are still struggling. If you can just give us your overview on the state of business, I guess, on the South Coast now that we're getting through Omicron and moving through another chapter of this pandemic.
I think, to be honest with you, Keith, we finally hit the point where business is returning to fairly close to normal. Now, what does business normal mean for us at the moment? Business normal means for us that we have just about everything up and running. People have less fear about going to their offices. Their world is opening up, but we still do have a challenge when it comes to employment.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that in terms of sorry about that, gentlemen. In terms of there's still issues with worker shortages, and Michael, are you still seeing that as well in terms of some businesses still not where they would like to be in terms of their staffing?
Yes, definitely. Hospitality industry still struggles with that, but it's retail, it's warehousing, it's all over the place. It's still an issue no matter what category of business, no matter what size business. Staffing's still an issue.
Rick, let me ask you about some of the things that we're all facing as consumers. Inflation. Are you hearing from local businesses that that's been an issue as well for them, and they've had to raise prices in some way, shape, or form?
I don't know of a single business that has not been adversely affected by inflation. We all knew that when the government starts to infuse massive amounts of dollars into the marketplace, in an effort to deal with the pandemic, we knew that there would be some consequences to that, and among those consequences are, in fact, the inflation that we're seeing now. I don't know of a single business, quite frankly, including even the ones that most of the ones that we are dealing with as a vendor. We're seeing just about every price go up. That's happening all over the place. It is universal throughout the United States and probably throughout the world because governments have stepped in and they've infused a whole lot of dollars in, and you always pay the piper when that happens.
So is there hope, Rick, that in terms of as we continue to get more out of COVID, and we know that the Omicron numbers, the infection numbers, have been way down since the beginning of January, and with the warm weather coming ahead, and I want to get something specifically about tourism in a moment, but
Sure.
as we get into the warmer months, that things hopefully will ease, and I know there's a lot overseas that may be happening that may impact inflation. But are you hopeful that things will rebound to a sense of normalcy in terms of pricing?
I think so. I think, obviously the cost of money, which has been extraordinarily low for quite a long time, the cost of money, the cost of borrowing is going to increase. That always happens in periods of inflation, and that has a relatively long-term effect, and there's a bit of a lag to it as well. So I would expect that we're going to continue to see the Fed increasing interest rates going forward, which is going to put some pressure on the housing market, which has been on fire. It's going to put some pressure on consumer spending as well, because the cost of money is going to be higher than it was before. So we may see some chilling effects, not that I think anyone has seen that puts us into recession, but what we will see is that we're going to have to deal with uh, more expensive dollars than we've had to for the last few years, and people got used to that. They got used to the cost of being money being practically zero, and that's not going to happen any longer.
Yeah. Mike, let me ask you about a couple of things that are specific to maybe Fall River area. I had the opportunity a few weeks ago to speak to the first executive director of the Florida Arts and Culture Coalition, Ashley Okino. What is it going to mean in terms of arts and culture to have that type of leadership? That's something that we've seen in New Bedford, but maybe not has seen in Fall River for quite some time.
Well, Keith, we're really excited that we are able to hire somebody with Ashley's background and experience in the arts and culture world. And I think it's going to mean a lot for the city of Fall River. Ashley, she understands. She understands the arts. She understands how it connects to the businesses and economic development. She's familiar with grant writing. She's already got a couple grants that are written and out. She's coming up with more and more proposals. The arts and culture industry in Fall River specifically, it's always operated in silos. And when we created FRAC just about 3 years ago now, it was people were not communicating, not collaborating, and not sharing ideas. And interestingly enough, that's a field where you have to share your ideas. So bringing somebody in like Ashley with great public and private support is we are really excited about having Ashley on board. It's going to be a great thing for the city of Fall River.
Yeah, and I know that in terms of other things happening in Fall River, just last week there was an event held at Government Center to help talk about the future of downtown. The city has been involved with a TDI, a transformative development initiative from Mass Development. I know in New Bedford, I believe they're going to begin their second
Yes.
TDI
Yep.
project in the North End. Mike, talk a little bit about, again, in Fall River, how important it is to continue to focus on some of these regions, like downtown specifically, in terms of getting that development and that interest into one part of Fall River.
Well, the meeting last week in actually on the sixth floor of Government Center, it was a great meeting. We had somewhere between 40 and 50 people, property owners, business owners, residents of Fall River. It was a great mix of people, and it was designed to let people know what we've done, let people know how far Viva Fall River has come as an initiative of TDI, but also to find out, what are people's thoughts on what are some of the next steps. There's a lot of different ways you could go from where we are in this point in time. One of them could be a business improvement district, um, and there's other ideas and thoughts as well. And last week, Lieutenant Governor Polito was in New Bedford last week announcing 12 new TDI districts throughout the state. New Bedford has its second one. Fall Rivers is not a specific district per se, but it is. But the Mass Development is going to be investing in the city just as if there is a TDI district here. A lot of the money is going to be going through Viva Fall River and building the downtown district, but it's a little more flexible as needed, and to try to help some of the other neighborhoods and try to bring some of the neighborhoods like the Flint, in more into the picture. Areas that have great opportunity, just like the South Main area. So we're really excited about what's happening with TDI and the opportunities that we've got in both cities. But in Fall River, with the work that Viva Fall River and Patty Rigo and Jim McCaig have done with it, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And
I
Keith,
want
if I could add
yeah,
something
sure.
on the TDI,
Sure.
we were lucky enough to have had one of the earlier TDIs, and Jim McKeague, the gentleman who's been in Fall River for the last few years, began his work, TDI work in New Bedford. What we've seen is the infrastructure, and it's kind of a cultural infrastructure, has been built now that has persisted. It's stayed. That sense of the downtown area working together toward good things has persisted beyond the TDI project. And now that we have an opportunity to have a second one, which is extraordinarily exciting in the North End, that lower North End with the Acushnet Avenue area, that's something I can't overstate how that first word, transformative, is accurate. It is so accurate. We have seen things transform as the result of TDI. And so we're excited in New Bedford. We're excited in Fall River that it's going to continue, and know that mass development has been an integral part of taking these gateway cities and helping bring them back in new and exciting ways.
Yeah. Let me shift gears, looking ahead a little bit as we get to the warmer months. We all remember that in 2021, when people started to get vaccinated for COVID, things opened up a lot more. Mask mandates were loosened, and then we had Delta and Omicron in the fall and in this past winter. I know, Rick, you were just speaking to another media outlet about the potential for tourism to
Right.
rebound, not only in the Cape but in this region. So where if you had a crystal ball, what do you think would happen for tourism in the South Coast coming up this summer?
My crystal ball is actually extremely optimistic. One of the things that we're seeing throughout, and I know, Keith, you and I talked off before we started about this, about your travels. Uh, there is a pent up desire for people to get out and about. That pent up desire for people to get out and about has brought about nearly full occupancy for the summer months on the Cape already. We know that while we may not have run out of Greek letters of the alphabet, it is likely that we have this situation more under control than ever before. And what we see is that the tourism possibilities here, and we market this area for tourism as a hub and spoke. We're a less expensive option than a Martha's Vineyard or the Cape, but we have easy access to the Vineyard, to Nantucket, to Block Island, to the Cape, through ferry systems, through the airport. There's so much that we can do that if people want to go out and about, they can. There's so much for them to love here, but they also have access to that, and they have access to those things at a lower price. So we are very, very bullish on tourism going forward. We think that our hospitality industry is going to be rebounding and rebounding quickly.
Rick, let me ask you before I talk about a couple of quick events that's going to be happening in the next week. How has membership been with the chamber? I know the organization has done membership drives in the past. I believe you were doing one at the beginning of the year or end of last year. How does membership look?
And by the way, we're about to do another membership drive, and believe that we have a compelling value proposition for businesses to be able to join the chamber. Our membership did suffer a little bit during COVID. I think everyone's did. We knew that some of the businesses, particularly some of the startup businesses, were extremely adversely affected by COVID, many of which sadly no longer exist. So we knew that was going to happen. We are still the second largest chamber in the Commonwealth, but our membership has dropped to about 1,300 from the 1,500 that we had. And we are looking to grow and will continue to grow as we continue to increase our value proposition for those businesses.
Yeah. All right, Mike, a couple of events coming up in the next week. First, you'll be hearing from Mayor Coogan, I believe, next Thursday on the 3rd. And then you've got the job fair on Friday the 4th. So talk a little bit about those two events.
Yeah, they're busy. It's a busy week next week. Next Thursday, the Mayor Coogan will be speaking. That's an event. That's a breakfast event at 7:30 in the morning at McGovern's in Fall River, and the mayor will give us an update on where things are as far as the business and the state of business in the city. He's done it on an annual basis for the last few years. We're looking forward to hearing from him and hearing about all the great things that are happening with economic development and just how things are going in general. Then on Friday, we have at White's, we have the job fair, which we're really looking forward to. We need to provide those for our members. We did one back in the fall and it went very well. And with getting to full staffing still being a major challenge, we're excited to have the job fair at White's again on Friday, March 4th. It'll be great. And if anybody who's looking for work should be there, we'll have mass hire there. And we've got I think it's at least 75 employers are there. So we'll be in good shape.
Yeah.
We also have one other thing, Keith, coming up that's going to be kind of fun this week. During the pandemic, we created something known as the Mega Mixer, where we invited a bunch of other chambers to join us and use the Zoom technology to get some connectivity with membership of chambers from around our region. We've expanded that now to Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket. We're going to have a 10-chamber Mega Mixer on Zoom on Thursday, which will be a blast.
Yeah, I would think so. Too bad, I'm sure you're looking forward to maybe doing some of those in person, right? See some of the other chamber locations,
Absolutely.
especially as the weather gets warmer. All right, Rick Kidder and Michael O'Sullivan, as always, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. We'll talk again soon. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Keith, so much.
Thank you, Keith. Thank you
All
very
right.
much.